This is Bill, going on to our homework for course week 3, Male Menopause, Men, Women, and Society, focusing on the mountains, the second mountain. The second mountain of adulthood, very interesting topic, something that near and dear to my heart, never really considered calling it the second mountain. So I had to do a lot of due diligence on this. So first of all, you have to kind of think about this. Everybody is different, and some people may not know that there was even a mountain to start with. Some people may have been cast out in life and are adrift and never seek shore. So it'd be interesting to know people that had no idea that there is a mountain, let alone a second mountain that they journey on through life. And if you are fortunate enough to know that there is a mountain to move forward on, in this scenario, I'll say, like, do you have a Sherpa? Do you have a guide to take you up that mountain or show you the way, offer words of encouragement, guidance, that type of thing? There are many men that I know that have no Sherpa. Sherpa may not necessarily be a biological father. It could be someone else. Most likely it is somebody else outside of your biological family. Interesting to note if you have one, if you can identify one, and more importantly, if you can reflect on the influence that they've had on your life. Additionally, the view from the valley to the mountain, what does that look like? It's interesting to note that many people in my network haven't really kind of contemplated these types of things. You have to kind of prepare yourself, literally, what kind of clothes do you need? What kind of seeds or tools? Do you bring your culture, tradition with you? Do you bring your knowledge with you? Is it applicable where you're going? Does it need to change, transition, and morph? What exactly does it look like? Is it different for a person in an urban environment versus a rural environment? Is it different for high-income people than it is for low-income people? What are their commonalities? Is this journey one size fits all? Or like a diamond, does it have many facets? So the first mountain is really something that we begin with in childhood, adolescence, and as we become in the United States legal age, we transition into early adulthood. We enter the adult world. We may seek employment, maybe be an entrepreneur. And then you kind of transition into those 30-ish ages when you're really getting your ground, maybe establishing relationships. And traditionally and historically, this kind of research focuses on settling down. So it presumes that you're going to get married, have children. But currently, the current trends in the United States and around the world, that is actually not going to happen. There are more chances that you'll stay single because there are many, many younger people that says, like, I'm not having a child because I have high student debt. I'm not bringing a child into the world because our world is in crisis because of climate, pollution, that type of thing. So these models, while well intended, may not fit the current situation in the world right now, but it is still important to note that there are a framework of milestones that we cross. Additionally, the first mountain, where we're going to focus on personal success, entering the workforce, entering the community, need to work on our career, and focus us on us individuals. And in this situation, it's good to be selfish to some degree, because being a little bit selfish, securing steady income, securing your place in the world, you need to have motivation, self-motivation to accomplish this. So if we're looking at the second mountain, I've kind of brought in Friedrich Nietzsche. In the mountains, the shortest way is from peak to peak. But for that route, thou must have long legs. Proverbs should be peaks, and those spoken should be big and tall. So what does Nietzsche mean by this? Well, you could go from peak to peak if you had long enough legs, but that would be cheating. You're missing out on the journey. But also, I think Nietzsche's also referring to being committed to your journey. You can talk about it and share about it. It's okay to be boastful to some degree. But it also, you could be so boastful as to be obnoxious. So it is finding people that can affirm you on this journey to the second mountain. But what does that journey look like when you're reaching mid-adulthood, later adulthood? In my journey, I think Zoroastrians are kind of there in the background for me. Because in my journey, I definitely am transitioned to a life of service, even though I still work full time. I'm a very big part of community in terms of working towards social justice, environmental justice, looking at that life of service. Also examine my commitments, my commitment to work, my commitment to self, my commitment to the community where I live. What is that and what does it look like? There are people that look up to me and have told me they admire the fact that I'm engaged in the community, I'm knowledgeable, I know what's going on, my network is robust, and I can direct people to items that they need, places they may need to go to. But I also examine my relationships. Who is supporting me on this journey? Who's not supporting me? Am I getting words of encouragement or words of discouragement? And I think it's important to examine this because I really feel that actions speak louder than words. But for some people, the words speak the loudest. They have no actions. And you can see the difference between persons who have committed themselves to be of service to the community, to express humility and gratitude, and find a life with meaning and purpose. And there are a number of people who have not even begun to examine their life in these terms. Definitely want to have a positive impact. Positive impact is very, very important in everything that you do. The second mountain of adulthood also includes being of service. We move from having a self-centered goal to other-centered purposes. And we emphasize on community, relationships, and positive impact, which I've stated previously. What are our commitments? Again, models that are in place are assuming a committed relationship with someone may not necessarily be. So I'm saying that your commitment is maybe to a significant person in your life, your biological family, your network, your family of choice, and build strong supporting relationships. But also, do you find meaning in your vocation, opportunities that contribute to society? I can honestly say that the place where I work, they're not engaged in the community. They're not with the Chamber of Commerce. They don't contribute to the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts. And that is really kind of sad because other places where I work and have in the past have a commitment to giving back to the community. It's really interesting to be engaged in a place that has no commitment or connection to the community, let alone a commitment to each other in running a successful business. It's paid well, but it's interesting understanding of being a good citizen, a good corporate citizen, as well as a good corporate employee, and develop a commitment to philosophy or faith. What are your beliefs? What are your values? And being engaged in the community and supporting locally and globally for endeavors. We're to one planet. There is no planet B that we can go to when this planet is in climate crisis, suffering extreme heat and extreme weather conditions. So what about the second mountain? Does it include joy and happiness? This should be linked to our personal achievements and external rewards, but it should not be the end goal. I'm going to do this to receive joy. I'm going to do this to seek out happiness. It should be organic and naturally occurring. Think of it approaching those achievements through humility and gratitude. And joy found in being selfless and connection with a sense of purpose. To exhibit work, volunteerism, brings personal joy, inner peace. And this is the joy that escapes many people because they have not found their purpose in life. They're not living a meaningful, purposeful life. This is the road that they haven't traveled and don't know how to walk on because they have no Sherpa. So if we transition to the second mountain, what does that look like? How do we get there? We have to realize that personal success alone is not fulfilling. It's only part of the journey. What we do for personal success may not look like community commitment, community engagement, and not may bring joy and happiness. But the desire to contribute to something larger than ourselves brings these meanings that we're looking for of joy, happiness, living a meaningful, purposeful life, and being able to give back. In reflection, if you look at Erickson's 8 stages of development, he talks about the 8th stage and examining our past and reflect upon it, and examining our legacy that we're leaving behind. Again, this is a life journey where you consider this, whereas many people have not considered it. And embracing an interdependence and the importance of relationship, whether it's persons from your own race, multiple races, even intergenerationally. Don't believe that you can go through life with your peer group. Life requires that you interact with younger people, people your age, and even older people. All of these contribute to your life's journey. So the second mountain of adulthood represents a journey towards a more meaningful, committed, and joyful life. And as you can see in the illustration, it has its turns. It's not a straight line. It encourages a shift from individualism to a focus on community and service. This means putting yourself aside, putting your ego aside, living outside of yourself, and living for the community. So how does this reflect on me? What is my mountain? My mountain is manyfold, even at this stage of life. Joy and happiness are tough to do when my commitment to family and community is engaged with the people who have a steady diet of negativity, do not encourage each other, do not support each other. So the mountain is very tough, it's very jagged, it's very rugged. But yet I may be able to keep those negativities at arm's length and continue on my journey. My valley is the same. Those people with the negative thoughts, words, try to drag me down, and I do my best not to be driven there, but to keep moving forward. Additionally, through my volunteerism, I have found meaning. I have found people that value what I contribute to my local community through my volunteerism. But it also allows me to be a mentor, a role model. It allows me to be a Sherpa for someone else. I was once asked to participate on a panel discussion for people with terminal diseases, and I had actually initially rejected, saying, like, I can't do that. I'm not dying. I'm not in that situation. I can understand their situation. But they said that I was like one of the ideal panelists, because the people who invited me to that panel discussion said, but you do what you say you do. You work towards having a meaningful, purposeful life. That's what we want you to talk about. And with that, I agreed. It was very interesting. Steps, or the next steps. It's really interesting because I've had a very interesting journey that I started probably much earlier than many other people for the second mountain. So I prepared for being aging. So the next steps is actually a nagasadu. Get rid of worldly things. Perhaps, but how do you do that in a Western culture? There are ways to try, but, going to retreats, practicing that in spirit to the best of our abilities as you can in the Western culture. Thank you.